Hi friends, how are you today? I know it's a hot summer day and I was out throughout the day and I just came back like 2 hours back and didn't even change because I wanted to make a video. I couldn't make a video in between because I was out of town. I had been to my hometown, Himachal Pradesh, enjoyed nice weather there. It was raining, it did rain in between, it was all green everywhere. It was really beautiful. So I wanted to just enjoy, I wanted to have fun, and I decided that once I get back to Pune, I will make another video for you all. So today's video is basically, it's the most important thing today that I'm going to be talking about today. It's about first impression. It's an understanding and insights that I'm going to give you today about what is first impression and how we can create a lasting first impression, or you can say that first impression that lasts longer. Alright, so let's get started, guys. Let's dive into the topic. Also, another thing that I've been noticing, probably my videos are pretty long. So this video, I'm definitely going to try and condense it. I'm going to make a smaller one for you so that you all can go through the entire video, understand for yourself what is required to create that first impression. So let us all understand first what is first impression. How do you understand first impression? Of course, in general terms, first impression is something, it is an imprint that we leave on the minds of the other people whom we're meeting probably for the first time. So who can be those people who are meeting for the first time? It can be any stranger on the road. Of course, first, it can be an employer. It is an interviewer. It is a person that you're meeting for the first time for your business deal. It can be somebody, probably you're meeting for the first time to network, to expand your business. So there can be, or it can be a customer, very important person. All right, so whenever we meet people for the first time, we create a sort of an impression on the other person's head about us. All right, that is called the first impression. Okay, now we understand what is first impression now, but we need to understand on what basis this first impression is created. Now, this first impression is created on the basis of our appearance, our attitude, our behavior, our communication skills, about what kind of person I am, about our body language. So all these attributes basically contributes to creating that first impression. So we need to be very careful when we meet somebody for the first time. Now, you cannot be what you are just because you want to be yourself, just because you want to be who you are, and you going and meeting somebody for the first time in your normal trousers and a normal shirt. All right, understood. But how do you carry yourself? What is the kind of attitude that you display? What kind of behavior do you communicate with? All right, so all those things are basically a package in creating a first impression on the mind of the other person. Now, this is something that we create, and the other person also forms a perception about you in his or her head. Now, that perception definitely is based on all these things that I just talked about, you know. So if you're meeting somebody for the first time and you think that, the person is going to build that kind of impression about you from the time you start talking to him, I'm sorry, my dear friends, the first impression starts from the time you walk into the place that you're going to meet somebody for the first time. From the time you walk towards that person, from the time you look at that person, from the time, so all these things basically contribute in creating that first impression on the other person's head. So we need to be very careful. How do we handle ourselves? How do we present ourselves in creating that first impression on the other person? Because whatever you're going to get is going to get on the basis of that impression that you've created on the other person's head. All right. So we need to be very careful. Today's world is a very competitive world that we're living in. To be a part of that competitive world, we need to really take care of ourselves. We need to be very careful about all these things. We need to ensure that we take care of ourselves to be taken care of by the other people. All right, so that's how you create that first impression. All right, now we need to understand how we can create this first impression. Now, there's this lady, her name is Sylvie de Giusto. She is basically a first impression expert, and I read her a lot and I've learned a lot from her, and that's how I'm really displaying myself when I go and meet people for the first time. On the basis of what I'm learning from her, I am displaying my attitude outside, in the outside world with people, and that's how I'm being recognized outside. All right, so what does she say? She says that whenever you meet somebody for the first time, it just takes 7 seconds for the other person to build that perception about you in his or her head. All right, those 7 seconds. Now, what we usually think is that it starts from the time we start talking to that person. That is the later part, my dear friends. The first part is the first and most important part are those 7 seconds. And she also adds that in those 7 seconds, the person's brain processes 11 different questions. Now, what are those different questions? They're not based on your emotional status quo. They are based on your personality. Those questions could be, are you a successful person? Are you a trustworthy person? What kind of attitude do you display? Are you a positive person? All right, sometimes she even adds on that sometimes a person can even reach to your religious beliefs in thinking. In those 11 questions can come your religious beliefs too. So you need to be very careful when you go and meet somebody for the first time, because that person is going to make, and on the basis of those questions and the answers that he's created, his brain has processed in his head, he's going to judge you now. We all are human beings. We judge each other. We have to exist with each other, and we are constantly judging each other every day. All right, so you cannot be saying, oh, this is a very stereotypical thing that we judge each other. All right, so we are in a world, we are in a world of humans, and we judge each other every day. And this is what we talk about. First impression is nothing but it's a judgment that is being created in a person's head about you. All right, so we want a positive judgment to be created. Okay, so the first positive judgment can be created only when we display ourselves positively. Now, what is the most important thing whenever you go out? All right, whenever you meet people, how do you want people to meet you? Well, how do you think you want to be perceived as by the people? If you understand that one very important question, I'm telling you, it will become very easy for you to create that lasting impression on the other person. So let me give you an example. I want to be perceived as a very confident woman. I love to be perceived by people as a confident woman. And that's how I go out and I display myself. I portray myself. That's the kind of appearance that I go out with. That's the kind of attitude that I go out with. That's how I behave with people. That's how my body language is. And that's how I'm being perceived outside. So if you understand how would you like to be perceived, or how would you like to be understood in the outside world, my dear friends, you'll have to prepare yourself for that. I understand there's a huge gap between how we are perceived and how we want people to perceive us. And that gap is created only because we do not know how to present ourselves out in the outside world. We want to be perceived. We want to be understood as somebody who is very confident. But are we really displaying ourselves like that? No, we aren't. If we are, then we will definitely be understood, and we'll definitely be able to create that kind of impression amongst the people outside. Okay, so this is one question that I'm going to be leaving you all with. And the question is, how do you think you want to be known? How do you think you want to be understood, judged, and known in the outside world? If you understand that one thing, I'm telling you, you will be able to understand how you need to armor, how you need to prepare yourself to get outside. And this is not only for, this first impression is not only for somebody who's going for a job for the first time. This first impression is an important aspect of everybody's life today. As I told you earlier also, it's a competitive world out there. All right, so if you want to be, and if you want to be a part of that world, competitive world, and if you want to be in that race, then we will have to be, or not in that race. If we want to be out of that race, then we will definitely have to work on ourselves to create that first impression. And there are lots of things that you can work on yourselves, all right, to create that first impression. But first of all, ask yourself, how do you want to be known outside in the world? All right, guys. Maybe, I'm not very sure, maybe in the next video I'll definitely talk about how I prepare myself when I go out to create that first impression, to be known as somebody who's a confident person. All right, so guys, thank you so much. I hope this video will be helpful for you in understanding yourself more than people understanding you. All right, so first of all, judge yourself, analyze yourself, understand yourself, and only then you will be able to work on yourself. All right, so guys, please share, subscribe, and like my video, and please don't forget to press the bell icon. All right, guys, thank you so much. Bye bye, take care.